day I had no idea that I would win the award, but since I have, I'm very pleased. If I had not won it, I would congratulate whoever won it. I work on a new book always.
Nobel Prize-winning novelist Ernest Hemingway died in 1960, yet the popular fascination with the man remains almost as great as when he was alive. In Key West, Florida, a constant stream of visitors come to the Hemingway home in which he wrote most of his books.
The house is 124 years old. It was built in 1849 to 51 by Asa Tift, who was in the shipping business here. It was the first house that Ernest Hemingway ever owned, and he lived here in Key West as a resident from 1928 to 40 with his second wife, Pauline, and their 2 boys.
In Key West, Hemingway went from unknown stranger to world-renowned novelist and personality. Although he lived and worked in France, Spain, Africa, and Cuba, he always returned to this relaxed and unassuming village by the sea. It was a fitting place for Hemingway to work. No one made a big fuss about him here, and of course, he was never far from his favorite recreation, fishing. Among the residents of Key West, Hemingway found lasting friends, many who still live here. Friends like Toby Bruce.
Captain of his boat, chauffeur, because when he needed anything, he would call me or write me, and I'd do the best I could to get it done. Well, he first came here, I believe, in 1928, and he had always loved to fish, so he started fishing.
Hemingway did not have a boat of his own, so he would often go fishing with Sloppy Joe, a friend who owned a charter boat.
When he got his first royalty for Whom the Bells Toll, he took it to the bank and the president wouldn't cash it. So he came back to the bar and was telling my father about it, and my father says, well, I'll cash it for you. And so he told the president of the bank he didn't have to do business with him. He did business with Sloppy Joe's, his own bank.
Hemingway would bicycle to Sloppy Joe's bar every afternoon after writing and stay a while with the old and new customers, many of whom later wound up in his books.
This is where Ernest Hemingway did most of his writing. He wrote all but 3 of his stories up here. This is the table he wrote on. He wrote longhand, hunting pictures, and made in Africa on the first safari. There's Shirley Thompson. He was his closest friend here, and he's still around. He was on the first safari, and he was Carl in the Green Hills of Africa.
He was fishing on the bridges, and a friend of mine saw him and said, I know a fellow that likes to fish. So he sent him down to the store, and he came in, and we started talking fishing. I came back home that afternoon and said, honey, I met a guy today who claims he's a writer.
I think Ernest was the main thing. His whole life was writing. Nothing else counted but writing. His friends, people, family, or anything, if they interfered with his writing, why, they were secondary.
He would go on the dock and talk with the fishermen, and down around the ways with the people that got sponges, and he'd like to fish off the bridges, and he'd talk to anybody that came along.
Hemingway was and remains the people's writer. He liked to write about the common man, in whom he found great strength. Maybe that's why so many people identify with his novels and him.
He showed me how to box, how to hold my hand and everything, and he would box and train with me. But it was one thing I just couldn't learn was to keep my guard up. Every time I would hold my guard, he would get one in on me. So this day I just found out that I would get it in right, so I just jabbed and jabbed and jabbed, and then I learned. And he said, well, now, Colbrooks, you're coming on fine. He says, this is what I want. Hemingway was a good fellow.